In Slack, Pedro messaged me asking me to just share a little bit about where the compliance group has been working along source code and code reviews to make some additions or enhancements to merge requests, specifically around the approvals features. And so for Mike, the other product designer, this is a bit of a informational update. I thought it would be easier just to do a couple walkthroughs through a few issues, or rather epics that we have outstanding that we're currently working on as a way to help disseminate that knowledge. So I'll start from what are we kind of working on and work towards, like what's coming more down the road. There are 3 ones that stuck out immediately in my mind. There might be some more out there, but we'll kind of come across those over time. The first one is this notion of being able to link merge requests to Jira. And the intent here is there are instances where organizations are using Jira for their project management and GitLab for their source code. And when they're creating merge requests, it is sometimes a requirement of the organization that that merge request be originated from some issue. Currently, that relationship isn't enforceable. We currently have the ability to mention an issue from Jira within a merge request, which is great, but it's not a requirement to merge. And so the intent of this work is going to be introducing as a requirement an ability to check and make sure that a Jira issue has either been mentioned within the merge request, either in the description or the title or the comments or something, the same way that we check to see if it's there now. And if it is, great, then they've met that requirement. If not, then that's going to be one thing they have to do. And this will be selected through a merge check requirement. So I believe that work has kind of started. I think we have some of the discovery work being done in 13.8. So I think they're starting to build the framework to make this happen, and we'll see how far we get with that. The next one, this one does deal a lot more with the approval section. So currently you can map physical people as approvers to a merge request. So you can request that specific users or a group of users be the approvers for the merge request. And there are instances where organizations want to also use a payload check against an API to ensure that that thing is up and good and there to establish a good connection, I guess, for their builds. And so they've wanted to be able to add essentially an API as a third-party approver. So for this, we've suggested to add a different dynamic to the merge request approvals, and it'll show up. And there's currently you do users or groups, and you pick your approvers. And so the way you could then flip this would be picking that same drop down and choosing to do an approval gate instead, and then you'd be putting in an API to reference. The way that manifests itself within the actual merge request would be right alongside the approvers. There'd be a little drop down, or really a collapsible section that says, here are the approval gates that are being checked alongside the eligible approvers. And this would tell you whether or not they've passed or failed a quick check. Currently, you normally can't merge a request if you don't have all the approvals, but for this MVC, we're not going to withhold the ability to merge. It's just simply a visual indicator of like, did these things get checked, yes or no, or did they pass or fail? As more of an informational thing as opposed to the users having to go out and check these things manually themselves before they approve or merge a request in. And so the last one here is in workflow solution validation. So we have some research that's ongoing to essentially create a way to bypass the protections that would normally prevent a merge request from going into master or the default branch, whatever that may be, as a way to help gatekeep from problems getting in. We've definitely heard there are instances where perhaps a team doesn't want to wait to be able to do all the necessary checks. Like let's say the approvers aren't available It's the end of the day on a Friday, and they just really have to get this change in, and they feel very confident that it'll be totally fine. But because no one's there, they don't really have an option. So to help provide more flexibility into this, we're trying to give the ability to force merge. So this would be able to say, yeah, we can ignore your pipelines, we can ignore your approval status, what have you, that would normally prevent you from pushing this change and allow you to do it. We're trying to do this only with group owners as the specified group of functionality that we want to share with. We think that might be the smallest blast radius because we understand that this is a rather impactful thing. So if you're Sasha, the software developer, what we're thinking is you don't have this ability, but you at least get the awareness of if you have a problem, you can go to your group owners and get their assistance in merging into your default branch if necessary. Alternatively, if you are a group owner and your developer pings you, you can come in and hit the force merge button, get a little bit of awareness of what this would do. And there's one more step that prevents you from doing that, just in case you know what this thing does. We're trying to just let you know, like, hey, this could break your builds. You know, it's more of an administrative task. It would definitely take some special knowledge of knowing that this would be okay. I've definitely heard this from friends. Like, there are times where they can't merge something because their pipeline's failing, but the change they're trying to put in is to fix the pipeline. So now they're kind of just stuck in this like really weird things, and they have to like turn off their pipelines in order to get the merge in, and it's kind of a mess. So this is definitely more of like an edge case thing, but it should be able to provide much more flexibility in those instances where it makes sense to use it. And so this provides additional checks into getting people to get that thing in, but without having to use the traditional means of doing so. So those were the three issues that were outstanding, or epics that were outstanding in my mind that related to merge requests and approvals. And so if you have any questions, certainly let me know. I'll be out on PTO for a couple of days, but no big deal. I'll be back and we can talk about some more.